Morning. Lovely to see you this very beautiful day. Really, the sky is truly blue. Let me show you. Here we are, and the sun is just hitting the leaves of the cherry tree. And of course there's an aeroplane going over, but you know, that's what happens when you live here. Here it is, so still the cherry tree leaves are barely moving, if at all. And this is one of my favourite things. Sunshine through the leaves. You know, it's beautiful. Morning, Linda. The feed's a little bit bumpy. Something must be in the way. No camels though, we're not having camels here. So this is the shot. I did turn the Wi-Fi on, it's not me. So here we have Japanese anemones, which, because we had rain drifting down last week very gently, there's more of them than there were before, which is lovely. They're beautiful things. They come out like a cloud of butterflies. And there you are, there's some more. And then this is a really lovely thing, which I almost missed because of the rain. This is a Luculia. Sharon, good morning, gorgeous. This is a beautiful flower. It does flower in summer. And can you see the details in those petals? It's just beautiful. Desislava, it is lovely to see you. Annette, good morning. We're just enjoying the summer beauty of the white Luculia. It's fabulous, and you have to imagine the scent. It is a very beautiful scent. Yes, well, I'm not going to blame you for the camels, Linda, because they follow you and they don't come here. And there's the plant. Oh, and look, there's another flower in there, which I hadn't seen. So it's a wonderful thing, the Luculia. Very tropical and sort of luxurious looking. What else have we got? We have a willow gentian that's coming into bud. See that? It makes beautiful blue flowers. Focus. Come on, camera, sort it out. There we go. So that's going to be spectacular soon. And the last few fuchsia flowers, and the very last white Selectrum of the year. There you go. So it's a very still, peaceful morning. Come on, there you go. So there's foliage, and it's still. There's just no wind. And there's the sun, being beautiful. Right. Today, when I went to look at what I was going to talk about today, I looked at what I talked about yesterday and I thought there's a whole chunk of it that I missed. Just like this, which I completely forgot to show you. It was the whole reason I wanted to come to the front garden. Look at this. This is a mad thing that I bought from a rescue bin at a garden store many years ago. And it has truly blue flowers. It's called a commelina. And the flowers only last for one day. And they're really very blue. They're exactly the colour they show on screen. They're like sky blue. And this is probably the best I've ever seen this plant because it's got space to grow and nothing's making it go leggy. So it's very pretty. Morning, Janet. So I'm glad I get to show you this because it's a funny thing. It sort of looks like it might be a succulent, but it's not. And it's got these beautiful flowers. And look at the little yellow stamens there. Just the detail of it. Anyway, I had to show you that. Sorry. Big distraction. But there you go. So I realised yesterday, just like I missed the commelina, I missed part of the topic. And it's this whole thing. You know, we're talking about showing up uncensored and not apologising. And the fact that when you do that, you give other people permission to do the same, which is a big deal. And more than that the world might actually be waiting for you to show up in truth, you know, in the truth of who you are, to speak your truth, to live your truth, to be your truth. The world might actually be waiting for that. This is one of the things that my previous mentor, Ellie Frost, said, you know. The world is waiting for you to show up. Hi, Paula. Lovely to see you, gorgeous. And showing up exactly as ourselves doesn't necessarily come easy. But when you do that, your light shines brighter, and there's a quantum effect. And you know, your light shines brighter. That's not a metaphor. It's actually physically what happens. Because we emit light. They're called biophotons, and they can be measured. They can be photographed if you've got the right equipment. We emit light. And when somebody, you see them and they look really well, and you say, oh, you're glowing. It's because they are. Because it's not a visible light that you say, oh, that's pink or red or whatever. But you notice it, you feel it, because you have a quantum field around you, which is you, and there's interactions go on in that. You emit your own biophotons. But if you're contracted, if you're sad, if you're stressed, if you're whatever, then that field of energy and the amount of light that you emit shrinks. It diminishes. And so you feel that when you're with somebody who's in a low state. It's like, oh, God, Heather, good morning. You can really tell, and it's a physical phenomenon. It can be measured. Maria, good morning. So for us to show up uncensored, unapologetic, does not mean becoming a complete bitch or a witch or a sorcerer on wheels. Elizabeth, good morning. Kellyanne, good morning to you. Yay! We're all here. Yeah. Yes, exactly, Linda. Because when you apologise, then it makes space for the other person to do so. It does. It opens the door, and one of you's broken the stranglehold. It's the same, if you walk into a bus or a train and everybody's sitting there on their iPhones. I can't talk to the person next to me, and you sit down and you strike up a conversation with the person next to you. I mean, they have to be willing to do that. But, if you manage somehow to engage a person in a way that doesn't threaten them, and you have a conversation, you might just notice that other people in the bus might also, and they might at least be listening, they might notice that there's an interaction going on, and some of them might do the same thing too. We have this phenomenon called mirror neurons. And that means, the most obvious one of that is that when you see somebody yawn, you yawn. But actually, it's more than that. My husband watched a video recently, a really interesting guy who's into brainy stuff. Hi, Kim! And I mean neuroscience and quantum physics and all the stuff that I really adore. And I get these little snippets because I don't have time to watch these things right now. I'm looking forward to a day when I can watch an hour a day of new material. Because I'm programming myself. I spend time educating myself, but at the moment I'm really putting in a particular program, and that's what takes my attention. So, oh God, now I've lost my thought. Oh yes, now I remember. And this guy said, and they've got proof of this now, that when you see a movie, you don't just see a movie. You literally experience it. The same things, if you watch somebody brushing their teeth, in your brain, the neural network that's about brushing your teeth goes off. It's the same. We experience these things. Now, I just got to check something. Bear with me. Okay, Maria, it is great to see you too. Lovely to have you joining us. So, yeah, and we got to make space for change, because you're quite right. If we keep on doing and being and feeling and behaving like the same people, nothing's going to change. So, yeah. And when you make space for change, then somebody else can perceive the possibility of change themselves. It is how that works. So, to come back to the, apparent topic of this thing, which has gone right off on tangents because this is how my brain works, and yours too, by the way. If you want to show up unapologetic and uncensored, it doesn't mean becoming reactive and polarised and saying, I get to be however the feck I want to be and you can't do a damn thing about it. No. Morning, Christina. What it means is, because remember, you want to be the best version of yourself, right? And the best version of yourself is not going to be reactive and cruel and unkind and uncaring. The best version of yourself is going to say, actually, it is my truth to be love in this circumstance. Or, actually, it's my truth to say no in this circumstance, lovingly, respecting myself, and therefore respecting the other person that I'm saying no to, or the situation, or whatever. If we show up as the best version of ourselves, that's automatically uncensored and unedited. So what it really means is a little bit what we were talking about the day before. You actually have to know who that person is. And sometimes, quite often, we haven't a clue. What you mean instead of reacting and getting scared or angry or whatever it is that I normally do, or for example being snippy at men, because, we all have these things that make us snippy, whatever it is. Okay, what is it that I'm reacting to? I'm reacting to it. It's got nothing to do with what that person's doing, because other people would see what they're doing and have a different reaction, right? Or a different response. Notice the two words. One is unconscious, the other one has been thought about. So, whether you agree with the thing that you're reacting to or not, it's fine to know that you disagree heartily with somebody behaving, for example, like a misogynist thing, right? But if you're going to respond to somebody's misogyny lovingly and respectfully, as your best self, uncensored, unedited, not going to the old program of, I'm an offended woman now, for example, well, what does that mean to you? How do you do that? Who is that version of you? And if to flip it on the other side, if you're a man, you're listening to this and thinking, should I make these misogynistic comments about women all the time? It's part of my identity. It's who I am. Sure, and you probably learned it from somebody, right? You didn't just wake up one day and decide to denigrate or devalue women. It was programmed. And by the way, there are plenty of men who, in the circle of so-called light workers, like energy and all of this stuff, there is so much anti-male conversation. It's like the divine feminine. This is one of my soapboxes. Oh, please. Do we have to always polarize it by gender? What about the divine masculine? Oh my God, I love the divine masculine. The so-called divine feminine has been really very undivine sometimes. So, just saying that if you're a man and you've been accustomed to thinking about women as a lesser species, which is very widespread and accepted on many parts of the planet, all kinds of things, well, hang on a minute. You have to notice it and think, well, actually, if I want to be the best version of myself, if I want to be uncensored and unedited, and if I want to be growing and becoming more, and that means being loving and respectful, actually, what does that mean? Oh, gee, I might have to change some very deep core beliefs and assumptions that I've made about myself and about the world and how things work and who's better and who's worse and, what that means I have the right to do. It very quickly gets really interesting. Okay? And also, by the way, misogynistic men or, chauvinistic or whatever, there's frequently been a really uncomfortable woman in their life that they're reacting to. So it's not about beating up on yourself if you find yourself there. Man or woman, whatever, okay? The archetypes and the patterns are the same. They just get expressed a bit differently. Doesn't matter. You will have learned it. You will have reacted to something that hurt, whatever. Okay? And who do you want to be now? Are you going to continue using your past as an excuse to carry on being who you are in the present? Your choice, So being uncensored and unedited to me is about really knowing who I want to be. And when as you've all been commenting and saying, thank you, when I know who that is, and I figure out how that then works out in my real life, you do, in that standing up and really being who you are, which takes some courage sometimes, but mostly it takes knowing who that person is. When you do that, it gives other people permission to do the same, and more than that, it might actually inspire somebody to reach deeper or further or for some greater change than they would consider as possible. Because remember, most people are waiting for something outside of themselves to change how they feel inside themselves. That's how we've been programmed. Wear this aftershave and you will feel sexy. I know I say this a lot, but drive this car and you'll feel complete. Have this lover and you will feel whole and loved. It's not true. You can't take two people who feel discombobulated and disconnected and unloved inside themselves and put them together and have any expectation that that true sense of who they are is not going to come out and be completely and honestly expressed in the relationship. It's going to happen anyway. Can't take two halves and make a whole. They're going to be two halves and they'll be two halves together. And of course, you get the situation where two halves are aware of that and then they work on it together, but also separately, and that connection is actually very positive, very useful. This is all about standing in our own space and being true to ourselves in a very thoughtful and considered way that then gives other people permission to do the same thing. Yeah, to be divine, Janet, you're so right. To be divine, really. If I'm going to be divine, what does that mean for me today, right now, in this situation where I'm thinking niggly thoughts about that person who's just walking down the street and I think, oh my God, I can't believe you'd do that to yourself, or you'd be like that, or you'd say that, or some post on, that you see in the Facebook feed, and you get this huge, oh my God, I hate that guy and what he's doing to that country, or that animal, or that person. Whoa, really? You're going to let that thing, which is probably on the other side of the planet, nothing you can do anything about, unless maybe you get to sign an online petition, you're going to let that determine your state of being. Whoa! Really? Is that loving to you? What's more precious to you? Your habitual reactions? Or noticing that you're habitually used to reacting a certain way and thinking, hang on a minute, who do I want to be? And in that moment, when you catch yourself and when you stop and, whoa, okay, wait a minute. How do I want to inhabit this moment? Morning, Tim. In that moment when you start to think, well, what would it be like if I felt differently? How would I like to feel? Who do I want to be? You start asking those wonderful frontal lobe questions and suddenly you're no longer in that reaction in quite the same way because you're observing it and thinking, well, hang on, I'm being a complete bitch about this, really, Maddie. Well, if I don't want to be a bitch, who do I want to be? And now I'm thinking about who I want to be instead of how awful that person was, that and what they did. I can't change that. What a waste of my energy. And remember, mirror neurons. I'm looking at that person and I'm disgusted with what they're doing, and at the same time, I'm experiencing them doing it. That's not loving to me. I suppose this is one of the reasons why I hardly ever look at my feed. I mean, my feed's pretty positive, but sometimes you still see it's like, no, I'm not even looking. I don't want to see it because I experience it so deeply. Yeah, it's a great thing to be so strong in yourself that others don't influence you. In practice, I think, it's a constant dance, it's a constant journey, and remembering that if somebody does kick up a response in you, for whatever reason, however it happens, it's my response, and it always brings me back to who do I want to be. And it can be very, very challenging to get enough distance from myself and my reaction to do that sometimes. Yesterday was an interesting day inside my head. Now, I know what was going on. It was stuff that was coming up just so I could let it go, really. But I was low. And my brain wouldn't, you might have remembered, my brain would not work. But that pretty much persisted the whole day. And knowing that I knew what was going on didn't actually make it any easier. Well, I suppose it did, because I wasn't going, what the hell is happening to me? Is there something wrong with me? No. Sometimes the process of change and transformation and shifting out of your old self into a new one can be really hard work. Constantly. Oh, who do I want to be? How is that again? That feeling, that memory that I have of the self that I'm becoming, which requires me to let go of all of this heavy old frequency that isn't me anymore, and which is bloody uncomfortable while it's going. Who was that again? How does it feel? Oh God, I'm so tired. Because it manifests as fatigue and brain fuzz, but really it was old frequency just leaving my field because I'm shifting into something new. But I talk about that and you think, oh well, if that happens to Maddie, maybe it's okay if it happens to me. And if Maddie can leave her old self behind, Julian, good morning, you know what this is about, you're so doing it too. So many of you are, okay? Then maybe I can do it too, you know? Me standing up, unedited, uncensored, as myself, in my journey, sharing it, gives you permission, in your own way, to walk a different but similar path. And that's not to say that this is what you need to do, right? No, some of you have no idea, no intention of ever standing up and sharing your journey with the world. That's my being true with me. That's my doing what is in my heart to do. The point being that what's in your heart to do and what's true for you is there, waiting for you to step into it. Because there are people in the world who can only really get it from you, what it is that they need. And, you know, some of you said that to me. You're the only voice that sort of makes sense to me. I hear it from other people. It's like this great intellectual concept, but when you say it, I get it. It's vibration, it's frequency. And you know, there are people who connect with me. It's like, oh, wow, I get it. And then they, you know, maybe 1 week, 2 months, 3 months, whatever it is. And then they're out of my frequency again because they've received what it is that they're comfortable to receive from me. That's just how it works. It's about what fits for you. And that's okay. I understand that now. So you being truthful in whatever way it is that's right for you to be, doesn't matter what that is. It's the truthfulness and the authenticity and the being willing to be that real, which then allows people to drop their connection with the old way of you being how you used to be and become somebody else too. It's like if you know, there's holding patterns that we have with people. I'm this way and you're that way, and that's how it is. You change how you are, it gives them the freedom to change too. And some of them will astonish you and reach for amazing, spectacular change that you would never imagine, just because you dropped your old emotional connection to them. I'm pretty sure we're out of time. Perfectly. I have a good clock on my head these days. It is so lovely to share this stuff with you. 2 things before we finish. First, in 3.5 hours, I'm going to be live here on the lawn again talking about our beautiful Sang Marie Gomez. Got exciting updates. So if you're about, catch up because there's good stuff happening. And just to remind you, to let you know that in a fairly short time, in a fairly short amount of time, I'm going to be changing Maddie Schaefer, the profile page, or profile, it's not actually a page, to a page. Because you get 5,000 friends and then you're stuck, and I know that what I'm here to do is going to reach many more than 5,000 people. So I have to make the change sometime, and this is me saying I'm going to make it quite soon. There is a milestone, 2222 friends, and shortly after that, when I've ticked off a few boxes, we'll be making the migration. So just letting you know it's happening. I promised I would. You're going to keep hearing it. You're going to get sick of it. But by the time you're sick of hearing it, it'll be far and wide and you'll know what to expect. Big love. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you tomorrow. And hopefully, I'll see you later today, 3.5 hours. Bye-bye.